Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, visitors in the gallery, I welcome you here today on this date. As we have heard from the pastor this morning, and as we have heard from this lady that was a first responder, I would ask the members of this body to, just for the next few minutes, as we stop and come together as representatives for the state of Oklahoma, whether you're on this side or on this side or no side, I would ask that you would remember what happened today 23 years ago, because I guarantee you that when that bomb went off on April 19th, 1995, this body came together as one. And the days that followed that probably I saw the best days in this chamber, just because of what happened. So I would urge you, just for the next few minutes, to put aside our differences, put aside where we may be on issues, and let's just remember the men and women and children that died that day. As many of you know, in 1995, I worked for USDA Veterinary Services, and we had an office on the 5th floor of the Murrah building. And there were 8 fellow workers in that building that morning, and 7 of them died. We had 1 that survived. So, and as I did last year, I'm going to do it again this year. I'm going to honor those 7 co-workers, and I'm going to mention their name here this morning. Olin Bloomer, Jim Bowles, Peggy Clark, Dick Cummings, Adele Higginbottom, Carol Cahill, and Rita Long were essentially murdered that day, April 19, 1995. I think of these 7 people often when I go by the memorial in Oklahoma City, and I wonder what great things that we lost from these 7 individuals. It's easy for us, I think, in this building to think more highly of ourselves than we should. And I think days like this brings all of us back to just how immortal we are. All 7 of these individuals thought that when they went to work that morning, that they'd be going home that night. And we all think that today, that we're going to go home tonight, and we're going to sit down with our families. But we may not make it home tonight. So I would just say that I think about things a lot differently. I think about my family, and I would suggest to you guys that you think about your families and what they mean to you, and don't take anything for granted, because life can be taken away in an instant. Madam Speaker, I would ask that the clerk read the citation.
Clerk will read the resolution.
Whereas on April 19, 1995, at 9:02 a.m., a terrorist detonated a truck bomb at the Alfred P. Murrah Federal building in Oklahoma City. And whereas this was one of the worst terrorist attacks ever to occur on the United States soil, taking the lives of 168 people and injuring more than 850 others, many of them United States government employees who worked at the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. And whereas this cowardly act of domestic terrorism directly affected thousands of families and horrified millions of people across the state and across the nation, and whereas the people of Oklahoma and the United States responded to this tragedy through the remarkable efforts of local, state, and federal law enforcement personnel, firefighters, search and rescue teams, public and private medical personnel, other emergency services personnel, and thousands of volunteers from community who saved lives, assisted the injured and wounded, comforted the bereaved, and provided meals and support to those who came to Oklahoma City to offer assistance. And whereas this courageous response set what has come to be known as the Oklahoma Standard, which was later emulated by many Americans following the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. And whereas the following 1995 attack, the people of Oklahoma and the United States pledged to build and maintain a permanent national memorial to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those who were changed forever. And whereas this pledge was fulfilled by establishing the Oklahoma City National Memorial, which draws hundreds of thousands of visitors from around the world every year to the site of the attack. And whereas the inscription on the wall of the Oklahoma City National Memorial reads, "We come here to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those who were changed forever. May all who leave here know the impact of violence. May this memorial offer comfort, strength, peace, hope, and serenity." And whereas the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building has been replaced with a new, safe, secure, and functional federal building in downtown Oklahoma City that houses many of the offices once housed in the Murrah Building, sending a message that the people of the government of the United States will not be cowed by terrorists. And whereas the 23rd anniversary of this terrorist bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building is April 19, 2018. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the second session of the 56th Legislature that the Oklahoma House of Representatives sends its heartfelt remembrances to the families, friends, and neighbors of the 168 people killed in the terrorist bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. That the Oklahoma House of Representatives encourages all citizens of the state of Oklahoma to pause for 168 seconds on April 19, 2018, to remember the 168 people who died in this senseless tragedy. That the Oklahoma House of Representatives sends its heartfelt remembrances to those injured in the bombing and expresses gratitude to the thousands of first responders, rescue workers, medical personnel, and volunteers from the community and across the nation who answered the call for the help on the morning of the attack and in the days and weeks thereafter. That a copy of this resolution be sent to Carrie Watkins, Executive Director of the Oklahoma City Memorial and Museum.
Representative West requests unanimous consent that the resolution be adopted without objection. That'll be the order. Members and guests in the gallery, please rise as you're able, as we will pause for 168 seconds of silence. Thank you. You may be seated.